don't think I'm going to win any friends over today for saying this, but there we go. Whatever. We try not to mix politics with what's going on in the theatre industry, but sometimes you just get drawn into it and you can't help it. So, and also we're not a bunch of tabloid people at Sardines. We just say it as it is. We just say fair things, and if we see something, we talk about it. So there you go. So Boris made his announcement on Monday. The professional industry, and this is also a bit of an insight into why we talk to professionals so much. The professional industry has published no end of comment from all sorts of bodies and organisations. How much comment has come from the amateur theatre industry? 0, if you don't count Sardines. So maybe we're the only voice of amateur theatre. NODA has literally acted like nothing has happened on their social media posts. So has the Little Theatre Guild. The Little Theatre Guild discussion group. You can Facebook or search for all of these things. There's nothing that's been put out by amdram.co.uk, one of the big Amdram sites. All they're doing is deleting productions and not commenting on what's going on. This is big news, and we should be commenting on it. The professional industry is, and I know that they're relying on their careers to make things happen, but you know, it's big news. It's big news to add 4 weeks onto Freedom Day when everyone in our genre, or lots and lots of people in our genre, have had not 1 but 2 jabs, which is the maximum vaccination possible. Then it's ridiculous. I'm going to read some of the professional comments that are out there. Let's start with Andrew Lloyd Webber, shall we? A little controversial, I must say. He says, my goal is to fight for the full and safe reopening of theatre and live music venues up and down the country. Wonderful. I was pleased and surprised to hear the PM mention Cinderella this evening, but I can't comment further on the proposed pilot until I know more about the scheme. Of course, he was very vocal before the announcement, once we heard it was perhaps coming, saying that, he'll move hell and high water to make sure he opens on time, because both Joseph and Cinderella are due to have their press nights, their grand openings, in this 4-week extension, which means that as it stands, they would have to socially distance those events. But apparently Andrew Lloyd Webber, very nice if you can have all that money, and he's a lord as well, isn't he? Surprise, surprise. I wonder who made him a lord. There we are. So how wonderful that he's able to sort of get the government looking at producing a pilot for Cinderella. So maybe it'll be a test event, so maybe there will be shoulder to shoulder people in, but let's see what happens. Trafalgar Entertainment, you know, the Trafalgar Studios, it's funny because they transmitted a few days ago. We are delighted to unveil the first glimpse of the beautifully renovated Art Deco Trafalgar Theatre, the result of a major multi-million-pound restoration project reinstating the theatre back to its original heritage 1930s design. And we'll put the photos up, and it does look fantastic. It does look fantastic, and it was retweeted by some amateur social media, but they retweeted that news. However, they haven't commented on what's gone on. And Sky News, because obviously they interviewed Howard Panther, who's the ex-founder of the ATG Group, and he's now in charge of, with Rosemary Squire, in charge of the Trafalgar Studios. You can imagine the damage that would cause to mental health, social well-being and the economic strength of London. Trafalgar Theatre owner Howard Panther says thousands of jobs will be in peril should the PM delay lifting England's lockdown, and he was interviewed just after became apparent that it was going to be an extension. Chris McGuigan, who's the Group Director of Marketing and Sales at HQ Theatres. These are not anybody's. This is quite a prominent person. Where are the findings from the event research programme? How are 22,000 fans at Wembley safer than a masked audience in the West End? You can't argue with that, can you? Where's the financial support for sectors still being subject to restrictions? These are the questions we should be asking. Hashtag theatres are safe. And then HQ Theatres put out, we are very disappointed with the government's announcement today. Whilst we understand the case for a cautious approach, the government's recent research shows no correlation between live events and transmission. And we'll put a picture up here of more, and you can search all of these things. HQ Theatres is literally on Twitter. The tag is at HQ Theatres. Chris McGuigan is Chris McGuigan. Sky News is Sky News. Trafalgar Ent. Official ALW is Andrew Lloyd Webber's account. London_Theatre, a statement from Julian Bird, the Chief Executive of SALT, Society of London Theatre, and UK Theatre, on the government's recent announcement. We'll put the picture up here of the comment. And needless to say, they are not happy or impressed at all. And these are all organisations that the government have given money for in their Culture Recovery Fund. Equity UK, which is the famous actors union. And I know this is all professional, but we have to quote from the professional industry at the minute because there is no comment from the amateur sector. Equity UK, and that's the tag on Twitter. As COVID lifting is delayed, Equity General Secretary Paul W. Fleming says the government's approach is catastrophic for performing arts workers. Read the full statement and we'll put it up here. And what's on stage? I tell you what's on stage, and that's their Twitter tag, what's on stage, without any apostrophes. They've been doing an amazing job of contacting all the shows, finding out from the ones that are supposed to be launching in this extension, whether they're going to or whether they've pulled the plug. Apparently, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat states it will still open on an originally planned date of 1st of July, despite the roadmap delay. The Prince of Egypt at the Dominion reveals full company for West End return next month. I think that's all due to open on the 1st of July. Hairspray at the London Coliseum will still begin performances next week, despite the English roadmap delay. Andrew Lloyd Webber has responded to Prime Minister Boris Johnson's comments around opening Cinderella in the West End, and obviously they're in ongoing talks. Producer Sonia Friedman, one of the big producers, for instance, Mamma Mia, and she said after the news came out that it looked like it was going to happen, but before Boris made his announcement, get this wrong and we wipe out an entire sector. Simple as that. And she also said the UK's theatre industry might be facing imminent catastrophe without further state support. And, you know, that's just a very, very quick scan of some comments from some major movers and shakers in the theatre industry. But we're the, as far as we can make out, sardines, we are the only people commenting on this from the amateur side of things, the non-professional side of things. And there are non-professional companies that are already out there, like Questors, for instance, in Ealing. They're going on as if nothing's happened. They're still going to be producing because amateur theatre was allowed to open with multiple bubbles in the audience, indoor and outdoor. And they're still going on doing their things. So have a look at Questors, have a look at some other amateur theatre things sorted out that are making the initiative and have an infrastructure where they are able to open. As I said the other day, most amateur companies are saying forget it, while social distancing is a requirement. and it will be a requirement for 4 more weeks, don't forget. And while it is a requirement, they're not even bothering to think about opening because they can't even cover anything with the size of an amateur audience. And we haven't even got to make a living from it. We haven't even got to make money to pay everyone's wages, unlike the professional industry. So we really should feel sorry for the professionals at the moment. And 4 weeks extra until we start to work to bring that public confidence back. This is serious stuff, everyone. Serious stuff. So we're now going to the 19th of July, not the 21st of June, unless some madness happens in the meantime. But, you know, I've had my 2 jabs, and most people in the amateur, in the non-professional sector, have had their 2 jabs. It's weird, isn't it? Apparently, before the end of this week, all adults in Britain will be invited to have their first jab, and hospitalisations within the young are virtually negligible, virtually non-existent. They are negligible. So it's weird, isn't it? Even with 1 jab, a young person, the hospitalisation, you don't stop getting COVID with your jabs, but you stop suffering from it, and I think you stop passing it on as well, because your body has the antibodies to fight it, so it gets rid of it really fast. But there we go. So the cases might officially go up because people will test positive, but they won't be suffering from it if you've had your jabs. And that's what this herd immunity is all about. That's what this vaccination program is all about, which has gone so well. I mean, what's the point of us being vaccinated if we're not going to act on it? If we're just going to nandy-pansy about the place and take every precaution? Everything is a risk. As Jacob Rees-Mogg said, you know, do we have to leave it up to Jacob Rees-Mogg, Katie Hopkins and all the rest of these outspoken people? Do we have to leave it up to them to do all the big commenting, telling us why there's conspiracy theories and stuff? And, you know, Jacob Rees-Mogg has said that there's a risk to everything we do. If you walk out of your front door, there's a risk management process. You're risking walking up the road and a car veering off the road onto the pavement and hitting you. Everything is a risk management, and this is the same. We're managing risk, and if we've all been vaccinated, what are the risks? They've gone down a lot, an awful big amount. Anyway, there we are for now. Bit more comment from Amateur Theatre, maybe there'll be some more Friday, but we'll see how we go. Maybe we'll get some nasty comments. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll get some emails, and we'll let you know if we do. And maybe some of the amateur organisations will comment, but we'll see. Stay safe, stay well. We'll be back. Bye for now.